The council meeting of September 4th will come to order. Good evening. I would ask that all in attendance turn off or silence your electronic devices, and please stand to honor God and country. Lord, thank you for your word, perfect and true. So as you call upon us to begin our work in earnest prayer, we lift these proceedings and our city up to you. May we prioritize what others trivialize, and that's you, Father God, and the truth of your word. Challenge us as leaders to lead with expectancy for the best in our city through your hands and our earnest efforts. May our service to those in our community for good be for your ultimate glory. Give this body eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts that are perceptive to you. Amen. We'll now pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If there are persons wishing to address council, forms are available in the back of the room and may be turned into the clerk to my right. Council, if the minutes of the August 21st, 2018 City Council meeting are acceptable, would entertain a motion to approve the minutes. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
I did have one typo clarification. Sorry, is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on the top, Cheryl, of page 2, the first paragraph is a minor,
Can't hear you.
not working. There we go, sorry. Top of page 2, first paragraph, minor typo that says concerning lien reductions, that if it's not paid, it will revert to the original amount of $2,300. That should be the original amount of $8,700. It's a,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman Ross. Are there any other corrections? I would ask all in favor of approving the minutes with said correction, signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay sign. Thank you. Minutes are approved. Persons wishing to be heard on items not on the agenda, a 3-minute time limit will be imposed on all comments from the public. Individual members of the public who are present in the audience may designate in writing a representative to speak on your behalf, not extending beyond a 10-minute period. As speakers come to the podium, would ask that you please state your name and your city of residence. During public comment on items that are not on the agenda, the city manager and directors who are in attendance this evening do make note of those items. During the city manager's report later in this evening's agenda, Mr. Stevenson may comment on these items, or where further research is necessary, he or staff he assigns will reach back to our residents. We want to ensure all residents that your comments are taken seriously and will be followed up on. On this evening's consent agenda is a resolution approving a new utilities truck for Water and Sewer Division. City Manager Stevenson will explain.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, did you have anybody in the audience that wanted to speak under 3 minutes?
I have no form, sir.
Okay, just double checking. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. The 2017-18 budget includes $105,000 in funding to purchase a maintenance vehicle for Public Works Water Division. The requested purchase will be a replacement for a 2003 Chevy Silverado 3500, which has 112,000 miles on it, was used for waterline maintenance of our distribution system. The cost of a new truck is $103,303. Staff recommends the City Council approve a resolution approving the purchase of a 2019 Ford F-550 in the amount of $103,303. Utility maintenance truck will be purchased from Palmetto Ford Sales Truck through the Florida Sheriff's Association bid number FSA 17-VEH 15.0. Payment to be made out of funds from account 410-1921-533-64.12. The existing vehicle is expected to go to auction. However, due to the age and condition of the vehicle, we don't expect much trade-in value or purchase value for that vehicle. Staff recommends the council approve this resolution so that we can buy this vehicle.
Are there members of the public wishing to address council on this item? Seeing none, council, if the consent agenda is acceptable, would entertain a motion to approve the item on the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay sign. Thank you. Consent agenda is approved.
I had a question.
I'm sorry if there's a
That's okay.
question. Would you like this pulled for new business?
No, I just wanted, may I ask the question?
On consent agenda items, a quick question is not an option, so if there's a question, we can pull it. Would the council
No, it's
person?
okay. No, that's okay.
Okay. Next, item 6A, a resolution approving ballot language. City Attorney Pam Shashan will explain.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. The city council candidate qualifying deadline was August the 31st for the November 6th, 2016 election ballot. What city council is being asked to do tonight is to formally approve both the candidates listed on the ballot and the ballot questions that concerned our referendum to make amendments to our charter. And so the ballot language was attached to your materials and is an attachment to the resolution itself. And so we are recommending that you approve the resolution.
Thank you, City Attorney. Are there members of the public wishing to address council on this item? Seeing none, council, if acceptable, would entertain a motion to approve the resolution for ballot language.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Councilman Boss.
Yeah, and this, I know, is really a formality. I would like to congratulate the candidates and thank them for running for office. I'm sure everyone up here is also appreciative of the spirit of volunteerism. Wish everyone the best of luck. And I just want everyone to know regarding the ballot language, everyone knows how people on this dais voted for it previously. This is not an endorsement of it, but this is just a formality of approving what was already voted for by council. Just to clarify that.
Thank you, Councilman Boss. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay sign. Thank you. Motion carries. Item 6B, a public hearing on tentative 2018-2019 tax levy and budget. The public hearing is now open. City Manager Stevenson will explain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In accordance with applicable provisions of the city charter and the Florida statute, the city is required to schedule 2 public hearings on the property tax millage levy for the preceding year, the year coming up. The first hearing is scheduled for tonight to solicit public comments on the proposed tax millage levy prior to an adoption hearing of not only the levy but the budget for 2018-19 at the September 18th meeting. Being that the city of Temple Terrace is a taxing authority, it's recommended that the property tax millage for fiscal year 2018-2019 be levied at a rate of 6.555 per $1,000 of assessed value, which is 0.4 of 1 mil decrease from the current year. The recommended property tax levy rate of 6.555 is 0.2414 mils, or 3.82% more, and higher than the rollback rate of 6.3136. Before council this evening is a resolution adopting this tentative millage rate of 6.55 for the fiscal year 2018-2019. The following receipt of public comment, it's recommended that City Council approve the resolution approving this tentative millage levy. And subsequent to adoption of the resolution, the City Council should take action to approve an ordinance approving the ad valorem tax rate for the upcoming fiscal year. If approved on first reading, the ordinance will be scheduled for the second and final reading on September 18th of 2018. Staff recommends approval of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Are there members of the public wishing to address council on this item? Seeing none, council, do you have any questions? We will first take action on the resolution, and then we will move on to the ordinance. I would entertain a motion to approve a resolution to adopt the tentative millage rate for 2018-2019 ad valorem tax levy. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the resolution as described.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay sign. Thank you. Motion carries. If the clerk would please read the title of the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Temple Terrace, Florida, adopting a millage rate of 6.555 mills for fiscal year 2018-2019. Such millage rate being .2414 mills, or 3.82%, more than the rollback rate of 6.3136 mills, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date.
Are there any additional comments from members of the public on this item? Seeing none, would
Madam Mayor, there are some things that I need to read into the record, if I might. if I may.
Absolutely, Mr. Stevenson.
Again, in accordance with the applicable provisions of Florida statute and city code, the proposed 2018-19 budget reflects the following: a 0.4 mil decrease in the ad valorem tax rate to 6.55 mils from the current year of 6.955. There is a 0% increase in water and sewer user fees. There is a 0% increase in commercial sanitation rates. There is a 0% increase in single-family residential sanitation rates. The general fund capital program for police, fire, leisure services for projects and equipment totals $2,223,900. Excuse me. Included in the proposed budget for 2018-19 in community investment expenditures to replace public safety vehicles and equipment, public works vehicles and equipment, and to refurbish public facilities and park facilities totals $1,912,868. There is $6,216,000 in water and sewer utility system improvements and vehicle replacements included in the water and sewer utility fund. There's a purchase of $310,000 in the sanitation fund for capital purchase. And in the street, sidewalk, and bicycle trail and drainage improvement fund, there is $1,402,000. Again, if approved on first reading, this ordinance will be scheduled for the second and final reading on September 18, 2018. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 1461 on first reading. If approved, the ordinance will appear for a second reading and public hearing on September 18, 2018. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion, council? All in favor, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay sign. Thank you. Motion carries. We are going to continue the public hearing. Item 6C, a resolution approving the tentative annual budget in first reading of an ordinance adopting the 2018-2019 annual budget. City Manager Stevenson will explain.
You lost me, Madam Mayor. I thought we just did.
No, you did. It's okay.
Okay. Let me redo that again. That's what I thought I was reading for the record. I'm sorry. I apologize. Bear with me. Again, excuse me. Again, in accordance with provisions in the city charter and the Florida statute, let me find my place here. I got it. The first of two public hearings have been scheduled, one for this evening and one for September 18th, to receive public comment on the second annual budget for the upcoming 2018-2019 fiscal year. The proposed 2018-19 budget reflects the following: a 0.4 mil decrease in the ad valorem tax rate from 6.555 mils from the current 6.955. There is a 0% increase in all water and sewer user fees. There is a 0% increase in commercial sanitation rates. There's a 0% increase in single-family sanitation rates, residential sanitation rates. built into the general fund, capital fund for police, fire, and leisure services project and equipment is $2,223,900. In the community investment tax fund, there is $1,912,868 in expenditures for public safety vehicles, equipment, and public work vehicles and equipment. Also built into this year's budget, or the upcoming budget, is $6,216,000 in water and sewer utility improvement and vehicle replacements. There's a $310,000 allocation in sanitation fund for vehicle replacements and equipment. There is also built into the street sidewalk, bike trail, and drainage improvement fund a value of $1,402,000. If approved on the first reading, the ordinance will be scheduled for second and final reading September 18th of 2018.
Thank you, City Manager Thank you, City Manager Stevenson. Are there members of the public wishing to address council on this item? Council, once again, we will take two separate actions, one on the resolution and one on the ordinance. Council, do you have any questions? Would entertain a motion to approve the resolution to consider adopting the 2018-2019 annual budget.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay sign. Thank you. Motion carries. If the clerk would please read title of the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Temple Terrace, Florida, adopting the final operating budget for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2018, and ending September 30th, 2019, and the capital improvement budget, given notice of the public hearings thereon, authorizing the city manager to issue such instructions as are necessary to achieve and accomplish the service programs, authorizing the city manager or the finance director to transfer monies among the departments and programs within any fund, authorizing the city manager or the finance director upon receipt of a donation or grant to appropriate said funds in the expenditure line item of the program as requested by the donor grantor, providing a severability clause, effective date, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith.
Thank you. Would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 1464 on first reading. If approved, the ordinance will appear for a second reading and public hearing on September 18, 2018. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve the ordinance.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Councilman Donahue.
We talked about this last year, Mr. Stevenson, in the section of the ordinance where it indicates that we've authorized city manager or the finance director to transfer monies among the departments and programs as needed. Last year, it seemed like there was a dollar figure, which indicated a cap, and there's no dollar figure this year. Am I remembering that incorrectly?
That is verbatim what we did last year. There was no dollar amount that I recall.
But you,
So,
but there's always, there's always that feeling that we've drilled down to some of these numbers, and then we say, okay, here's a lump sum, go for it. And that's not what we're saying. I mean, we've designated some things very specifically that we wanted to see happen.
yeah, and under the job functions of your city manager, he's allowed to a certain degree to move funds from
Understood.
one fund to the
Understood.
other.
Right.
We will certainly be prudent this year. If we need to move a large sum of money, we'll make sure that we bring it to council. Council's made aware of it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? Calling for the vote. All in favor, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay sign. Thank you. Motion carries. Public hearing on budget and ad valorem tax levy is now closed. Item 60 is the second public hearing and second reading to adopt ordinance 1462 for CPA 18-01 Victorian Village. The public hearing is now open. Mark Hudson, Hillsborough Planning Commission, will provide a brief review. Mr. Hudson.
Mayor, City Council, Mark Hudson, Planning Commission staff. As the mayor's mentioned, I'm here to give you a brief recap from our August 21st public hearing concerning Temple Terrace CPA 1801. If I could have the PowerPoint, please. Again, we presented this to you first on August 21st. This is the second public hearing for your action. To just recall the location of this plan amendment, it is north of Fowler Avenue, between Gillette Avenue and Sycamore Place. You can see on the slide in front of you the plan amendment area that is being affected by this, that is being looked at through this public hearing is shown with the lavender dash line. It's approximately 0.67 acres. It's been privately initiated and is composed of two parcels. One of the parcels has a residential 4 land use today. The other parcel has residential 9. The applicant has requested a commercial land use category. This is the map that is currently adopted in the Imagine 2040 Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan. Again, you can see the area affected by this plan amendment circled with the black dashed line. It currently has, as I noted before, a residential 4 and a residential 9 plan category. To the north is residential 9 in Plant City. That is a single-family detached neighborhood. To the east and west also are single-family homes in an unincorporated county that has a residential 4 plan category. To the south is the Victorian Village that has Temple Terrace commercial land use category. If the plan amendment was approved tonight, the map would change to this, the one you see before you now, giving the area rights for further commercial development. Staff did review this per the Temple Terrace Imagine 2040 plan. We found it consistent with numerous policies that are incorporated into your report. These policies relate to the city form, residential development, non-residential development, multimodal corridors, and growth management. And staff did feel that the application is consistent with those policies in the plan and have noted those in your report. We did share this internally with city staff and outside reviewing agencies. To date, we've had no objections from those agencies. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this plan amendment back in June. And our staff recommends, after you receive public comment, to adopt the ordinance, finding the plan amendment consistent with the Imagine 2040 Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan, and approve the ordinance as such. And that completes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Prior to your questions, we will ask, we do have members of the public who would like to comment. First, Bridget Nuna Haskins.
I'm Nuala Haskins. I live at 11704 Sycamore Place, directly across the street from the lot that's in question. And this is probably the third meeting I've come to. I went to the one downtown for Hillsborough County and then the second one here. And I know this is a done deal. There's no doubt about it. It's a done deal. But I just wanted to voice my displeasure a little bit with the city of Temple Terrace, and they have not listened to us non-residents and haven't shown any regard for the very intrusive commercial encroachment on our street and on our residential neighborhood as a whole. Also, I have observed the same level of disrespect shown to the Temple Terrace residents who are in the same block as the proposed commercial, the commercial zoned lot. Temple Terrace doesn't mind that we have to endure the extra traffic through the neighborhood, the extra trucks in and out of our streets, the horrible trash code requirements for the existing commercial tenants, and I am still there every day picking up trash on my yard from the two commercial complexes at the top of the street. Temple Terrace doesn't mind that we have extra parking, lot lights shining in our street, the extra lighting that we will have from this parking plaza and this commercial establishment that will, it's going to be it's going to put more light onto the whole street, but especially onto my house, which is directly across the street. And that in addition to the existing rear lighting that's on that complex, I think I will have daylight 24 hours a day over there. And then I've also observed that there is no regard shown for the families that are being displaced in the 2 present rental properties. And Temple Terrace is well known for its, I'm proud of the canopy of oaks in the city. And I pray that you will take into account the beautiful oak trees on the property that Mr. Pollard, the previous owner, planted. They were beautiful 39 years ago when my family moved into this street. I guess my time is up.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, the oaks are a beautiful backdrop to Victorian Village. You can see them at the intersection as you come south on Gillette toward Fowler, and they're just beautiful. And also, Mr. Pollard,
you, ma'am.
he planted the, is that it?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the petitioner like to address council?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. My name's Don Statz, President of Statz Holdings. If you want me to wait, I think there's some other people that may want to speak. Is that true?
It's on the next item on the agenda,
Oh,
sir.
okay. Well, basically, you all have seen the plans that we presented last time. And the lady's concerns about the lighting, we now have a lighting plan behind us that TICO has laid out and done all of the necessary things that you have to do with lighting to make sure they aren't intrusive to the neighbors. And I think we've done a pretty good job with that, and we'll certainly have to do that in the new parking lot also. So that's, anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to try.
Thank you, Mr.
All right, thanks.
Stats. Council, are there any questions for either Hillsborough County or the petitioner?
You have a
Uh,
She's not sure how it's, I don't think they understand that they're two different.
Mr. Quitek, I have you on the next item on the agenda?
I meant to be on this item.
Okay, come forward, sir. My apologies.
My name is Joe Quitek. I live at 11710 Gillette Avenue in Temple Terrace. And there are many issues that the residents have with respect to the expansion of the Victorian Village. But nothing is more important than public safety. Our safety is being compromised by the existing traffic at the property and will only become worse by adding 2 buildings, creating more traffic. We have, like I said, many issues, but one of the more notable issues is the driveway access at Gillette. That access is 1 car length, and everything drains into that 1 car length from the traffic light to where the driveway comes out of the Victorian Village. It creates many safety issues, and even more importantly, it's against the ordinance of Temple Terrace. And I speak of section 12-921, item 2. A driveway access point shall be located as far from an intersection as the lot size permits when the property abuts an intersection of rights of way. And like I was saying, this to me is very important, but there are many others. The delivery with the trucks and the trucks going through the neighborhood, the parking, the new building is going to generate more traffic. What I want to say to you is you can't approve a plan when it is in direct violation of your own ordinance, especially since it adversely affects the safety of the public. And based on Councilwoman Donahue's statements very last time, matter of fact, on 2 different occasions, she said, our hands are tied. We can't do this, we can't do that because of some other prior approval. So if you approve this zoning here tonight, then you've tied our hands, and we're not going to be able to do much of anything else. What I say is that we must put this zoning request on hold until a complete study is made and changes adopted to ensure safety and that our own laws are followed. And a yes vote for this non-plan is a no vote for public safety and a violation of Temple Terrace law. And you are now aware of the law, you must act accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quitek. Is there anyone else that would like to address council on this item? Council, questions? Councilman Boss.
I just have one comment regarding the initial presentation. During the discussion of one of the surrounding zoning areas, you said it was a planned city zoning classification. I just assumed that was just a misspeak, so we can get it corrected on the,
I apologize, I started my day.
I know you're probably working both of them.
Correct,
with-
yes.
Through
It's,
both of us, and just so the clerk can get it corrected for
Yeah,
the minutes.
The land uses surrounding it are to the north are Temple Terrace Residential 9, either side is Hillsborough County Residential 4. And to the south is Temple Terrace Commercial.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Thank you, Councilman Boss. Is there any other questions from council? Councilman Donahue?
Well, I guess my question would be directed to city manager and to answer the question that was just raised, because I obviously don't know how the ordinance, if it's in compliance or not, but he's raised a good question, and I think we need to answer that before we move forward. What do we need to do to bring it into compliance if it's not? I mean, so I'm asking you,
I will refer, see if we can have one of the planners come up and address this. I am honestly have not read that section 921. You're dealing with an existing driveway. That's a little bit different. I didn't hear any dimension that the gentleman brought up as far as just as much as possible on the lot. I don't know the lot lines right off the bat. Typically, when we have an existing project, we work off of existing conditions and try not to impose restrictions or sanctions, if you would, on someone that's looking to develop a piece of property because of existing conditions. I don't know that this is the only property in town that we have that has and possesses this driveway light situation. And I don't know that I'm prepared to answer that question without reading the ordinance and going through it with the planners. I will make this very clear. The item that we're on is a comp plan amendment. It has nothing to do with zoning. That is the second item of the agenda. Although it's a good notion to bring up, it has nothing to do with basically the comp plan amendment that we're dealing with. This is nothing but a map amendment that we're dealing with currently. The issue of zoning, whatever council's pleasure is, I don't know if our planners are prepared to answer that question or address it. If they are, we would ask them to do that in the zoning agenda item.
she's.
Yes, that will be the next item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other comments or questions? Would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 1462? Or, no, excuse me, apologies. City Clerk, please read the title of the ordinance, 1462.
An ordinance of the City of Temple Terrace, Florida, amending the Imagine 2040 Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan, future land use map for two parcels of land located north of East Fowler Avenue between Sycamore Place and Gillette Avenue, with addressable locations of 6810 East Fowler Avenue and 11705 Sycamore Place, consisting of approximately .67 plus minus acres, by changing the future land use designation on said properties from residential 4 and residential 9 Temple Terrace to commercial C Temple Terrace for CPA 18-01, providing for amendment of the official future land use map of the city, providing severability and effective date, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith.
Would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 1462 CPA 18-01.
Move to adopt ordinance 1462 for CPA 18-01.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay sign. Thank you. Motion carries. Next, item 6E, second public hearing and second reading to adopt ordinance 1463 for RZP 18-03 Victorian Village. We will now open the public hearing. Planner Elizabeth Ciesla will give a brief review.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. I am Liz Ciesla, planner with the Community Development Department. So tonight, we're going to have the second reading and public hearing for the zoning reclassification of 11705 Sycamore Place, owner being Stats Holdings Incorporated, and the applicant being Mr. Don Stats. The zoning request, once again, is requesting a change from single-family residential, R7, in the city to commercial general. And we have reviewed a conceptual plan, and the approved uses are commercial, office, retail, being 1 story, 2 buildings, 1,500 square feet each. There is going to be fencing and landscaping all around the property on the north and west side. And it will match materials that are there, or everything will be replaced. And they're also going to address multimodal improvements to make it easier for ADA compliance and pedestrian use. And they will be coordination with infrastructure improvements such as, you know, the surrounding roadways and access and everything associated with that. The Planning Commission staff did find the request consistent with the comprehensive plan, so staff is recommending council approve ordinance number 1463 to adopt RZP 1803 with conditions of approval. And that is all, and I can answer any questions.
Elizabeth, can you address the issues that were brought up just a few moments ago, or one of our planners, if you can address the concerns that were raised?
I think, since I'm pretty new, I'm gonna refer to my cohort, Mary Ann Abrahamson.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Hello, Madam Mayor, members of council. Mary Ann Abrahamson, planner with the city. So there are a few things, and without doing some more research, I would need to see when exactly that code was adopted versus when this site initially was developed, to see if it was in compliance or non-compliance at the time that the site was developed. But also, because we are going to be looking at this site comprehensively with a site plan after, if this goes through tonight, the site plan will come in next, and we'll be looking at the site comprehensively. And at that point, the applicant will need to submit ingress and egress plans, and our city engineer will be taking a look at that time to see if it is in compliance with the code, and be making those determinations then.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Are there members of the public that would like to address council on this item?
Well, I was listening. So
Mr.
I'll just get up and say again that the most important thing that I could see, and of course, I wasn't able to get a hold of the city engineer this last 2 weeks, even though I left several messages, is the fact that safety is an issue. And at that intersection, and with the trucks, and with so many other things, I could show you many, many things, and somebody should look. That's why I wanted things to be put on hold until a study could be made. I didn't say to stop it. For 22 years, I haven't done anything to try to stop Mr. Stats. I hope he makes a ton of money. The problem is we're crossing the line now. And once we get to cross the line, it gets people rankled. And all the things that I put up with before, I don't intend to anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kwiatek.
Just say one thing. If that exit is not in compliance right now, we're also looking at, Mr. Stats assures us that the traffic is going to go through that property and out that exit. So he's already told us that's what would happen. So there would be additional traffic coming out in front of his house.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to address council on this item? Council member questions?
Madam
Council,
Mayor.
Mr. Stevenson.
I've had a chance to look at the code, and this is really quick. If I can add just a couple things,
Yes, sir.
please. This is section 12-921, and not A, but B. It says all driveways installed, altered, changed, replaced, or extended after the effective date of this ordinance shall require a building permit and shall meet the following requirements. And 2 is one of those requirements. It says a driveway access shall be located as far from an intersection as a lot size permits when the property abuts an intersection of rights of way. If you continue to read down to C, it says alternate design standards and administrative waivers to this section may be approved by the city manager or his designee in unique circumstances due to existing nonconformities or in cases where other government entity has different design standards for driveways and connections to a county or state street. So some of that does apply here. I understand the gentleman's concern. I've actually been at that intersection before and experienced that, so I sympathize with what you're saying, but we're dealing with an existing nonconformity that is recognized in our code of ordinances. So certainly, we're going to be going through a site plan review. My suggestion would be is to have staff address this with the applicant when he does his site plan submittal. We'll see what we can do to minimize it as much as possible.
Thank you,
If
Mr.
that's
Stevenson. The public hearing is now closed. If the clerk would please read the title of Ordinance 1463.
An ordinance of the City of Temple Terrace, Florida, rezoning .35 plus minus acres of land located north of East Fowler Avenue and east of Sycamore Place with an address of 11705 Sycamore Place from zoning classification Single-Family Residential 7 Temple Terrace to Commercial General CG Temple Terrace for RZP 18-03, providing for amendment of the official zoning map of the city, providing severability and effective date, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith.
Would entertain a motion to adopt Ordinance 1463, RZP 18-03.
Move to adopt
Ma-
ordinance 14.
Madam Mayor, going to interject here. I don't know that you asked for council, council discussion.
We'll have discussion after we have a motion and a second, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
didn't finish the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Move to adopt ordinance 1463 for RZP 18-03.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Council discussion. Councilman Ross.
Well, I lost my chance. I actually had a question for Mrs. Abrahamson, but I didn't get it in fast enough and we closed. But I asked a question last meeting that we discussed this, that there would be no additional curb cuts, that it would only be the existing entry and exit points to the property. Is that still your understanding? Because the entrance that's there, I think we would all agree is that it's probably not the optimal thing, but that's what's there. But we're not talking about cutting another entryway in, right?
No, as you know, council member, I mean, this is conceptual plan. We do not have a site plan yet. We don't have all the details. And once we reach that point, or once we receive the information, we will address all the comment from the public, all the deficiencies. This is the existing site. Okay, Victorian Village, okay, it's been there, I don't know how many years, could be 30 years. And the, comment the gentleman made about the intersection, this is existing. We are just rezoning the rear property, which is residential, from R4 residential to commercial, and he's gonna expand his parking. And again, I don't wanna public mix the issues, okay? If you have an existing issue with the site, okay? I mean, this comp plan and rezoning does not have anything to do with the existing site. However, once we receive a site plan, we will make sure, okay, whatever needs to be addressed will be addressed at that point.
And the reason that I bring this up, my point is this for Mrs. Nuna Haskins and Mr. Quitek is, there may be an opportunity here to actually improve where this driveway location is, because it is in a bad spot.
Yes.
So as this project shakes down the funnel and they start looking at site plans, there may actually be an opportunity to make that entryway a little better. I don't know if there is or not, but there may be an opportunity to revisit this and move it back on one side or the other to kind of allay some of your fears. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Donahue.
And those are my sentiments exactly, Mr. Ross. Thank you very much. The point is, the neighbors have now told us that it's a public safety issue, and that, and as he said, we hope Mr. Stats is successful. We want that business to stay in business and to continue to bring revenue to our city. However, and to Mr. Stats. However, we've now been pointed out by the neighbors who, like he said, we've sort of dealt with it for a long time. We haven't said anything, but now they're wanting to speak up, and we need to let them know that there is another process when what they've said will be heard. And I'm that, you're exactly right. It could be that in realigning, maybe there will be some improvement. I can't tell, I'm not in that business.
Sure.
But I want to thank each of the neighbors, and I call you my neighbors because it doesn't matter which side of the borderline you live on, you're our neighbors, and we are looking at this, and that's why some of these questions have come up inappropriately, because, we understand that this is a rezoning and a reclassification, but as long as the comments are being made, they need to be addressed. So I thank you for coming up and
Sure.
answering that question, because that is going to be very important as we move forward, to
I
make this
wanna-
the best possible scenario for
Sure.
everybody.
I want to assure you and the public, under the DRC review, we will address all these, comment. We have to send a copy of the site plan to the city engineer. City engineer has to look at it, has to review it, and they will come back with the comment with us. Okay, we are not there yet. Under this rezoning and comp plan amendment, we are just taking conceptual plan. We don't have the site plan. We don't have all the details. And we have to bear in mind, this is an existing site, and we will address it once we get there, but we are not there yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anisi. Any further, Councilman Boss?
I just have one comment, and while all these items have been brought up, I'm going to have to agree with our department director, Mr. Nisi. This is not about the property in the front, it's about the property in the rear, which is what we should be focusing on regarding our zoning and reclassification. Other things are down the road, but we should be focusing on that and not on the other issues that are being brought up. They're moot to this discussion, in my opinion.
Thank you, Councilman Boss. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the nay sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Council business, are there any carryover items from our previous council meeting that need to be brought up? Seeing none, is there any new business? Councilman Ross.
I just have a quick suggestion for the next budget cycle. The process being what it is, we get a first revision, we have workshops, we have public input, we revise it, we get a second edition, a third edition, a fourth edition. Would it be advisable or advantageous to put a footnote on these pages, like version 1, version 2, version 3, whatever, so that we're all looking at the same version? Because I have about 6 of them on my coffee table, and it's difficult when we're in the meetings to tell, are we looking at the same thing? Because if you grab the wrong one, I mean, would it be too cumbersome to put a footnote on the bottom, version 8? For you, and tonight, we.
I color code mine.
Well, it's the process, it's not, I mean, that's how it's supposed to work, it just gets confusing, that's all.
That is so easy to do, I think we can probably accomplish it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other new business to come before council? City Manager's report, Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I got just a couple things here this evening, and I wanted to bring up Mr. Greg Pauley, if I can have Greg come up to the podium. As you guys are well aware of, that Mr. Pauley had served the city for 30 years as a police officer, and just retired Friday. You're probably working on the quickest retirement I've ever known. He's back in the office today after a 3-day holiday. We have hired Greg as our new business relations manager to assume the role of that job position that we had discussed at budget time, and certainly includes economic development, annexation, and redevelopment efforts. I expect Greg and I to work pretty closely together to kind of put a program together. Saying we've never done this, we've never had this position. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. I interviewed a gentleman out of Tallahassee and Mr. Pauley, and have decided to bring Mr. Pauley in on that position. So with that, I'd like for you to welcome Greg to his new position with the City of Temple Terrace.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Thank you, Council, Mayor. It has been an honor to have served this city for as long as I have, and I truly look forward to the opportunity that has once again been bestowed upon me. I will continue to serve in the best of my capacity, and I am excited about this new position. I'm excited about working with this council and this manager and moving forward in our business relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pauley.
Thank you, Greg. Next, I want to thank everybody for the fireworks display and the event that we had Saturday. We had again, a wonderful event that the city has put on, primarily with the help of Leisure Services and Carl's group. Kudos to them. Fire Department, Police Department, Sanitation Department, everybody that Public Works was out there picking up garbage and putting up lights, and it was a wonderful event. I hope that everybody enjoyed themselves. The weather held out, which we were lucky to have that happen, especially seeing there's a storm right off our coast right now. It all worked out pretty well, so we were pretty pleased with that. The next thing I would ask Carl to come up, if Carl would come up to the podium, just to give us a brief summary as far as where we're at with the boardwalk and the Family Rec Center renovations. I think you'll be pleased with what Carl's got to share with us.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Carl Langfeld, Leisure Services Director. Just a quick update on a couple of projects that we have undergoing. Boardwalk is progressing. The first phase of the boardwalk, which was from the bridge to Scout Park, has been completed and is open to the public and in use. If you haven't had an opportunity to go out and take a look at it, it's beautiful. It came out really, really nice. The second phase, the demo, will be wrapping up tomorrow on the phase from the bridge back to the boat ramp. So that is currently being torn up. Those people who have their names engraved on planks, those planks have been taken to the family complex where they are available for pickup. So if you have one, please come by the family complex and pick it up. Family complex, the first phase of the family complex construction is well underway. The demo to Gym 3, the upstairs or green gym, or however many different names it has these days, is complete. The construction of the new fitness center is ongoing. All of the steel was delivered last week for the mezzanine. That has been constructed, which is the second floor, essentially, or the cardio loft for the new fitness center. So that is up and has been erected. The new wall to create the dance studios is up, and that has been completed. Demo on the back side of the facility to fix some of the gymnastics area issues and to make the improvements to the outdoor basketball court area. All that demo has been completed as well, waiting on steel to come in to start doing some construction around there. Buddy Baseball is also moving along. The design work is almost complete. It is currently at the school board for their review and approval. It went to them beginning of last week. I'm waiting to hear back from them with their comments so we can get back to the engineers to address any concerns that they may have. Then that project will be going out to bid. So, you know, we're busy with 3 big projects in Parks and Recreation right now, and everything is progressing as planned. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Councilman Pagorley.
I was wondering if you could just address something that I've tried to address and apparently I'm not getting through. The engravability of the new boards. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay,
And we actually have a
Please say
bunch-
that again.
Yes.
Thank you.
We actually have a bunch that have been engraved and will be installed on the new boardwalk as that starts getting put
Thank
together
you.
on the new half. Anything else?
Councilman Ross.
Question, I probably knew this at some point and forgot, but remind me the location of the Buddy Baseball, the new location.
The softball field's behind the family complex,
Okay,
behind Lewis Elementary School.
okay. Wasn't that rejected or found to be?
Well, the initial site was to build it on what is now a soccer field in between the two.
That's right.
The two buildings. That
Okay.
site was deemed to be unbuildable due to the existing trash dump that was on that site.
Right.
We went back to the school board and received permission to build them right on top of the 2 softball fields
Okay,
that are back there.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, one last item, if I may. For the rest of this week and Monday and Tuesday of next week, with council's permission, I'd like to make myself a little scarce around the office. I've got some stuff that I've got to take care of on a personal nature. I'm in town. I'm not leaving anyone in charge. I'm still here. You guys can certainly call me if there's any problems. My staff knows that I'm available. I'm just not in the office. So we do have a couple of meetings scheduled that I'll be attending, so just to let you know, I'm kind of in and out. but I'm still here.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you.
One question did come up on Saturday evening. In fact, it came up multiple times. Several of our residents want to know how they can purchase the T-shirts. The
yeah.
T-shirts were a great hit, and they are looking for opportunities to enjoy the artwork of a very talented staff member.
Yeah, that's a creation of Lori Hayes, with my help.
You said yes or no, right?
I came up with I love Temple Terrace, and she came up with the orange. So it was kind of a joint effort there, but it really was. It's an attractive shirt. We didn't purchase any for sale. We could probably look into that if city council wants to get into, I don't know, we shouldn't open a gift shop.
Sell enough, or you pay for the renovations.
Well, pay for the next T-shirt.
I think I had at least a half dozen text messages asking, at least that many more different people at the event asking where they could get their shirts.
No, we actually
So-
had, the guy that made the shirts wanted to sell them, and we told him, no, you can't do that. That's our shirt. So, we could look into helping out whoever wants a shirt. Certainly, we have a cost involved, but we can come up with something.
We have
There.
quite a few events coming up. We can find you a vehicle.
I'll get me a little cart. I got my lawnmower. I can ride my lawnmower around and sell
I mean an
T-shirts.
opportunity for sale.
Have
for
them
point of
available
sale.
at the rec center, or have order forms?
Well, we
at
could
the-
put them at the clerk's office.
Clerk's office.
There are places we can set this up, so.
Super.
I know for a while there, we sold Christmas ornaments, so we've done the same thing on occasion, so.
I have a suggestion for you to think about. Why don't we let the Mayor's Youth Leadership Council sell them and raise funds?
I will take that to the council
And
for
let
their
them
consideration.
that way none of our employees have to go to do any additional duties. Let them do it. They need the funds, right? They can use them.
I will bring that up to them at Sunday's meeting. And so, thank you, Councilman Ross. Councilman Shalera.
Can I ask the city manager to please brief the audience and the viewers on the redevelopment with the Paragon contract in particular, please?
As of last Friday, city attorney and I worked very hard last week to get Paragon to sign on this reinstatement agreement. Last Monday, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, I had a meeting with Mr. Moon. That pretty much laid out how serious this matter was. We went through a couple of different iterations of the reinstatement agreement. We have, as of Friday, a signed reinstatement agreement with Paragon Development Group, in essence, that ties them into a commitment of putting another $200,000 deposit down on
Tomorrow.
the 5th.
Tomorrow, right?
Well, it's 3 business days. I thought it was tomorrow, but it's actually 3 business days, so
So Thursday.
probably looking at Thursday. And also a committed date to close on or before November 1st. That is hard dates, that's hard money, and that's where we're at with that. I think that he got the message that we need to move forward, and we're willing to kind of move to a point in this reinstatement agreement. It's a good reinstatement agreement. Again, it reinstates just about everything that was in the original agreement. It doesn't change much other than defining and changing some of the dates of closing and some of the money and when the money goes hard. As of Thursday, we will have $250,000 that is hard, unless he backs out of the deal between now and then, which I have not had any indication that he was going to. He shared with me some of his clients that he is talking with, and I do think that he's very serious this time about moving forward. So with that, Richmond Group, last Thursday, Friday, gave us a 4-item list of issues that they have with the title in objections, in objection form. We're dealing with those. 3 of them are things that we need to address. One of them is kind of a moot point. It has to do with some easements. But they are moving forward. We have been in contact with their environmental people that have been asking questions on follow-up discussions. So we've been moving forward with that one as well. They are, in fact, anxious as well to get groundbreaking going. So we're real pleased with that. One of the things that I'm hoping to bring before you, not hoping, it's one of those things that we have to get done and would behoove us to do this because it's causing all these title issues, is the master development agreement that we used to have with Vlass. When Vlass left the scene, that master development agreement reverted back to the city. So the city is now the master developer for its own property. Some of the things that were in that master development agreement, such as building the art center, are still there, building certain square footages and phasing and all that other stuff, really does not apply anymore to the direction that we're now going, and really becomes problematic moving forward. It would make Richmond very happy if we got rid of it, and certainly Paragon still has some concerns with it, but they're willing to let us try to work with council in order to get that terminated. So, again, you're probably going to see this next meeting, just terminate that agreement. We have a development review process in place. There's no need to have that master development agreement. We do have, in conjunction with that, there's the REOA, which is a reciprocal easement agreement, an operating agreement, that has some relevance, if you would, to the people that own the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center being Kite Realty. That can't go away. We may have to modify that for these new developers, new developments coming in, but I think that would be more situational than the whole document. The document in itself needs to be intact. So the MDA, kind of a useless document causing us some problems. I'd like to terminate it. The REOA are things that we're going to have to work with individually as it affects the property owners and the property that we're selling out there on an individual basis. But we have, as of today, gotten a third proposal in for parcel B that we will be, again, presenting to council. We've got a couple of people that are interested in the northern part that has come up with some pretty attractive stuff and different stuff. So that'll be interesting to present to council. We'll probably do that second meeting in October. Again, trying to keep October 2nd kind of light with business. Next meeting, we've got to do the CRA budget, as well as possibly the fire union contract in closed session. So we've got a couple busy meetings coming up, and we're trying to keep October light, like we'd indicated a couple meetings ago. So does that answer?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Richmond, when does their money go hard, the second deposit? Do you recall just?
Mrs. Tiller, I don't remember right off. I will share that with council. We've come up with a schedule in line with what we did with Paragon. Can you pull that up? Let's see if we can locate that real quick.
So Paragon's gonna go, they're $250,000 goes hard this Thursday, from what I've just heard you say.
That's correct.
Non-refundable.
That's correct.
Okay, and then we're gonna know what Richmond is, which is, I think, soon thereafter, probably.
Yeah, Richmond's contract is also tied to an inspection period, due diligence period on them. I don't know that date right off. I would hate to spew a date or a number out there and it'd be
My
incorrect.
suggestion, with this whole, from a 30,000-foot elevation, I would strongly suggest that we capitalize on these proposals and these contracts, because it can certainly gain a lot more attention and value to the remaining property. If Cushman Wakefield would say, we have 25,000 feet of retail locked in, we have 200 units locked in, that I guarantee you changes things significantly, anybody wanting to go there. But once obviously you have that hard cash commitment, then that makes a statement. So I would suggest that you take in consideration to capitalize on those opportunities, once in fact they are hard. Certainly, anybody can cancel them, they'll lose their money, but they have skin in the game at that point. I think that would benefit us as a city, and it's a shot in the arm.
Is your mic
that
on, Frank?
can- It's a shot in the arm in that corridor, that folks looking at that saying, well, nobody else is jumping out here, what's going on? They may not be privy to the Richmond's on the corner, Paragon, or Richmond's in the back. So just a little, and because I don't know that in the listings that Cushman Wakefield's doing, it's stating that. Obviously, they have to wait till the money's hard, but once it's hard, I think they have some tools to enhance the project and certainly draw attention to that project, because that could be, will be a game changer once you have that kind of new activity down there with, new development, depending on who, and I'm sure they're gonna be very desirable type uses that are gonna go down there. And then you have multifamily coming down there. That certainly elevates that whole corner to a different bracket. So I would certainly suggest that you guys, speaking with Cushman, come up with some maybe strategy to capitalize that before we close the period on the rest of the parcels.
That's a
Thank you.
great suggestion. I'll have that conversation with Patrick Berman tomorrow. We have that information for you.
The chart of all of the dates that are relevant to the Richmond contract was emailed to all of the council. And according to that chart, the inspection period ends at midnight, September the 18th, 2018. And the second deposit is due within 5 business days after the expiration of the inspection period, which would be on or before September 25th.
And that's right on the corner, so you guys can bring it all in and, have some kind of promotion or whatever, however you want to utilize it.
We got this. We're
Thank you.
moving forward. I feel pretty confident that we've got 2 projects, and I think we'll have a third one, quite honestly. I think you guys will be, you'll be happy with what's coming in. And there's a lot, the activity's picking up because of the fact that we've got 200 units going on back there primarily. That has a big bearing on somebody moving in. So,
And we've been talking, and I would, again, suggest that the discussions to modify the agreement with Kite begin sooner than later, because we had that discussion when Conley was here, and I don't know if anything even happened with that or not. So just, I don't want to discuss it now, but just, I don't want to have a big player lined up and all of a sudden that's a, curveball at us. So I don't know how far you've gotten with them. That's something you guys are handling. But Conley talked that they were going to talk 2 years back with Kite, and I haven't heard much else about it during his tenure here. So hopefully you guys will have a grip on it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Shalera. Mr. Stevenson, is there anything else to come before this body?
No, ma'am, I'm finished. Thank you, ma'am.
Very good. We stand adjourned.